churches, religious people, from gathering socially distanced outside wearing masks. And the district court said, you can't do that. That's discrimination. You can't separate people out based on their ideological beliefs or their positions. You can't do that, right? Isn't that what the district court said?
The district court said that
do you agree with it?
Could not survive strict scrutiny.
For those reasons.
Folks, what we just witnessed in the Senate was nothing short of jaw-dropping. Senator Josh Hawley took off the gloves and tore into two nominees who, frankly, have no business holding public office. One tried to expose a 16-year-old sexual assault victim to national humiliation, and the other, a Biden nominee, sat there stonewalling Congress, lying under oath, and pretending her political activism didn't exist. This isn't just incompetence, it's corruption in broad daylight. Stay tuned, because what Hawley revealed today will make your blood boil.
Actual or unlikely activities that's in the statute, that's in the ordinance?
When the mayor was enacting these orders at the outset of the pandemic, I think she was trying to be as comprehensive as she could, and the order did restrict a number of daily activities of district residents.
But it exempted mass protests?
I don't believe it said anything one way or another.
Can you point me to the text where it exempted mass protests?
I don't believe it said anything one way or another.
Of course it didn't, because it didn't exempt mass protests, right? You know that.
I think it was silent on the issue because I don't believe it was contemplated by the mayor's office.
Ah, so you think that mass protests should be in a different category than religious observances? Is that your position?
I think if there were protests on the book, then the mayor might have thought about that when she was enacting the COVID-19 restrictions. But I think she was trying to protect public health.
So you think it's fine to say to religious people that they are prohibited from gathering outside, wearing a mask, socially distanced. They can't do it. But if you want to come and protest, defund the police, if you want to support that, that's fine. You can gather en masse, person to person, close up, thousands of people. That's okay. That discrimination's okay. That is your position?
Senator, that is not my position. It
was your position. It's what you argued.
I did not write these orders. What I said.
You defended it in court. And you just articulated to me what I take to be your position.
What I was doing in a Capitol Hill Baptist church was defending the mayor, my client, against a constitutional challenge to one aspect of the COVID-19 restrictions. We understood that strict scrutiny applies.
How did that case go for you?
We lost that case.
Why?
It was found that the restrictions did not meet the standard of strict scrutiny.
Meaning they were unconstitutional.
Meaning that they did not survive strict scrutiny, and it's a matter of public record that the District of Columbia did not appeal that decision.
Why? Why were they struck down?
Excuse me, Senator?
Why were the restrictions that you defended struck down as discriminatory? Why were they?
Because they did not satisfy.
Why didn't they?
The court concluded that there were restrictions that were not neutral of general applicability.
Yeah. That's legalese. Why didn't they? Why didn't they on the facts? You know the facts. You were a good lawyer. Why'd you lose?
We lost because applying the strict scrutiny test, the court concluded that the restrictions were not narrowly tailored to serve a compelling governmental interest.
Because?
Senator.
Oh, come on, Judge. Don't make me do this. Do you want me to go through it for you? You lost because Mayor Bowser was going to mass protests herself personally with thousands of people celebrating them. By the way, which is fine. We have the First Amendment in the United States. I want to be clear. That is totally fine. You want to protest? Go for it. I think that's totally fine. That wasn't the problem here. At the same time she was doing that, she was prohibiting churches, religious people, from gathering socially distanced outside wearing masks. And the district court said, you can't do that. That's discrimination. You can't separate people out based on their ideological beliefs or their positions. You can't do that, right? Isn't that what the district court said?
The district court said that
do you agree with it?
Could not survive strict scrutiny.
For those reasons, right? Why are you fighting me on this? I can't figure this out.
I am not fighting you, Senator.
So yes, you agree. That's what the district court said.
That was what the district court concluded.
Do you think they got it right? The district court get it right?
The district court, we did not appeal that decision. I think that district court decision is consistent with rulings that we got from the Supreme Court clarifying the application of the religious test to COVID-19 restrictions in Tandon and the Brooklyn Archdiocese.
My time's almost expired, and I know other senators want to ask questions, so let me just very quickly here. Do you think it's wrong to discriminate on the basis of religious faith?
Absolutely, Senator.
Why did you argue that religious services, religious people pose a greater risk of infection than people gathered to argue for defunding the police?
I was representing my client. The mayor and consulting epidemiologists had issued orders that she thought were going to protect public health. It was my role to defend those as a
Why did you
member.
make that argument? This seems like a strange argument to me, that religious people are somehow, more infectious than folks who have other ideological positions? I don't get it.
My understanding was the nature of singing and other things epidemiologists thought could transmit COVID at a higher
You
rate.
didn't put any scientific evidence in the record for it?
Senator, those were fast-moving cases, and they weren't going to full briefing and full summary judgment with a record.
That's not what the district court said. The district court said that you engaged in, and your client engaged in, and you defended discrimination on the basis of religious belief, that you offered no scientific evidence for it, that you pressed these arguments over and over and over without any foundation.
Public posts that you had made on Twitter. You had locked your Twitter account before you came before this committee. It had previously been public. I asked you to provide the public posts that had previously been available on Twitter, because the ones that we have were pretty disturbing. You responded as follows, and I quote, "My personal Twitter account is comprised of posts about my mystery novels, events at the White House Historical Association, Pittsburgh sports teams, travels, and my dog," end quote. Is this an accurate statement?
Yes, Senator.
I just remind you, you're under oath. Is this an accurate statement?
Yes, Senator.
Well, let's talk a little bit about your Twitter posts then that I was asking you about. On February 18th, 2022, you posted on Twitter bemoaning the dropping of mask requirements for children, including those under the age of 5. Do you remember that post?
No, Senator. Those tweets were in my personal capacity.
No. I asked you, would you give all public posts that you had made on Twitter? You said no, effectively, and you said that your Twitter posts consisted of mystery novels, events at the White House Historical Association, Pittsburgh sports teams, travels, and my dog. And you just told me now under oath that you stood by that. So now let's talk about your Twitter posts. On February 18th, 2022, you posted bemoaning the fact that mask requirements for children under the age of 5, one of whom I happen to have, by the way, had been dropped. Is that a post about your dog or sports teams?
My social media is in my personal capacity,
Answer
Senator.
my question, please, because you've testified under oath that you only posted about your dog and sports teams and novels, and you also said you wouldn't give this committee any of your public posts. So, is your post on February 18th, 2022, bemoaning the lifting of mask requirements for children under the age of 5, who I might just ask, all of the data has said is extremely harmful to children, these mask requirements? We'll leave that aside for now. Is that a post about your dog or sports teams? Yes or no?
My social media is in my personal capacity, Senator.
Yes or no, Ms. Shogan? You are under oath before this committee, and I have to say, you have placed this issue squarely in record by repeatedly refusing to answer. Yes or no?
What happened in that Senate hearing today was a masterclass in accountability and an absolute embarrassment for President Biden's nominees. Senator Josh Hawley, a man who doesn't mince words, confronted Michael Delaney, the nominee for a federal judgeship, about his disgraceful behavior in the St. Paul's school sexual assault case. Now, for those who may not remember, Delaney represented a prestigious prep school that had already failed a young girl who was sexually assaulted. But instead of defending justice, Delaney tried to strip that 16-year-old victim, known publicly as Chessie, of her anonymity. Let that sink in. He filed a motion that would have plastered her name across the media, inviting public scrutiny, harassment, and worse. Hawley called him out, point blank, accusing him of trying to try the case in the media and bully a survivor into silence. And you could feel the tension. Delaney tried to dodge, tried to spin, but Hawley wasn't having it. He read from the victim's own letter, where she wrote, quote, "I wasn't going to let Michael Delaney's dirty tactics bully me into shame and silence." That's the voice of a survivor, a child, and it was Delaney's actions that forced her into that position. And yet Biden thought this man was fit to be a judge. Unbelievable. Hawley said it best. People who put sexual assault victims through this kind of torture shouldn't sit on the bench. And folks, he's absolutely right. This isn't a partisan issue. It's about morality, decency, and basic human dignity. But that wasn't even the end of it. After tearing through Delaney's hypocrisy, Hawley turned to another Biden nominee, Dr. Colleen Shogan, and exposed what can only be described as blatant dishonesty. When Shogan came before the committee last year, she told senators her social media posts were innocent, just mystery novels, dogs, and baseball. Sounds wholesome, right? But when Hawley dug deeper, what did he find? A string of highly partisan political posts attacking conservatives, mocking religious Americans, and criticizing President Trump. So Hawley asked her directly, one post after another, and every time she refused to answer. Her line, "My social media is in my personal capacity," over and over, like a broken record. Hawley finally had enough and said what everyone was thinking. "I've never seen a witness stonewall this committee like this before." He accused her of lying under oath, and frankly, it's hard to disagree. She didn't just dodge questions, she misled Congress. And this woman wants to be the archivist of the United States, the person responsible for safeguarding America's historical records and government integrity. The irony writes itself. And just when you think this hearing couldn't get more revealing, Hawley brought up new whistleblower allegations. A former employee from Shogun's old workplace, the Congressional Research Service, came forward saying she engaged in partisan conduct, abuse, retaliation, and even tried to profit off her federal position. You can't make this up. It's the same old story. Biden nominees lying, dodging, and playing politics while expecting Americans to look the other way. But not this time. Hawley made it clear, no more blind confirmations. No more rubber stamps. If you want power in this country, you better earn it through honesty, not manipulation. And here's the truth, folks. This isn't just about one or two bad nominees. It's about the rot inside the political establishment. It's about how the left protects its own, even when they harm children, even when they lie under oath, even when they weaponize power for personal gain. But as long as patriots like Senator Hawley are in that chamber, and as long as we're here at Illuminate shining a light on it, they won't get away with it.